I am the man in charge for the record. Yo. I am the man in charge for the record. Yo. I am the man in charge for the record. Yo. I am the man in charge for the record. Yo.
Hello, hello, hello. I am Anointed Speaks. If you are new here, please like, share, subscribe, comment. Why wouldn't you? I'm going to start out, as I always do, and let you guys know that I do lean to the right. I say that because I do not want people to mistake what I am doing for news. Although I do give news, it is based on opinions and facts. My opinion is based on facts, and I like to be very, very clear about that. I don't want to be like MSNBC and have the whole world realize you've been lying to them for years after finding out that Joe Biden was not sharp. He was not all there. We all found that out. Well, I knew it, but the rest of the world found that out. It's been over a month now, almost 2 months ago during a debate. Wow, time's flying. Kamala was anointed, which is why the title of my live is Proof that the DNC was a failure and dissecting Kamala Harris's first interview since being anointed. She was never picked in a primary, and her party did not pick her. She was given the role. So I wanted to go over the DNC convention because it's getting further and further back, and I'm behind. But what I need to do is, it's very important that I go over and recap the DNC so you guys know when you see it happening, you'll fully understand it. And I made a compilation on it. But before that, I want to remind you guys what the Democrats thought about Kamala Harris before, let's see, where is it? Before the meltdown of Joe Biden. Let's see. Bam. This is called Kamala the Terrible. Not my compilation, but it's a great compilation.
Say that you have the lowest approval rating of any vice president.
Well, there are polls that also say I have great approval ratings.
Swing voters don't like Harris. How big a drag is Kamala Harris on the ticket?
She's a pretty big drag. I think she was arguably Biden's worst political decision.
They don't like her. There's lots of reasons they don't like her.
Kamala Harris's approval rating is now at 28%, which is an historic low for any modern vice president.
We're hearing it from mainstream media, one outlet after another, one leak after another. That Kamala Harris is the worst vice president ever, the worst politician ever.
We don't see the vice president. What people are saying to me, and I'm sure they're saying it to you, where's the vice president? Some White House officials are feeling that she came off looking unprepared for inevitable questions about when she might visit the southern border.
We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. And I don't understand the point that you're making.
The point that Lester Holt was making was obvious to anyone else who was watching this interview, which is that the issues at the border are inextricably linked with the portfolio that she's been given.
The border is secure. We have a secure border.
Bidenomics is working.
Prices have gone up. And families and individuals are dealing with the realities of that bread costs more, that gas costs more. And we have to understand what that means. That's about the cost of living going up.
He picked Kamala Harris to be his running mate. She was ranked and is ranked as the most liberal senator in the United States Senate. So he could have gone the other way, but he went to the left.
Joe Biden is running for re-election, and I will be his ticket mate. Full stop. Full stop. That's it.
All right. So, again, there's a reason why I'm playing this. I'm going to go in order. I'm going to close this out and be done with that. Hello, Miss Amber C. I'm going to close this out, finish that discussion about the DNC, because there is some very important things towards the end of that I want to emphasize. And then I'm going to move into Kamala Harris's interview yesterday. And it's broken up into 3 parts. So I'll do part 1 of the breakdown of her interview today, and then I'll do part 2 and 3, either in videos or in another live. But either way, that's the order, that's the plan, and I'm sticking to it. Let's see. So let's start out with this first video. All right, and then as a reminder, there were all-out protests and in some cases small riots. Gaza. So this is the beginning of the convention, and I'm going to walk through it again. There's a reason for what I'm doing there. What's going on, Uncle L?
Children in Gaza are being murdered. The
Burning
people
flags.
responsible are having a fucking party in this fucking city. This is what we think of your fucking rag. This is what we think of your fucking rag. The only acceptable American flag is one that is burned to char.
What about global warming? This isn't good at all.
Hey, for any American citizen confused.
What's going on, G. Will? What's going on? Again, this is right before the DNC and during the DNC, the peaceful protests that were outside. I'm going to go over the DNC, and then I'm going to go over the first part of Kamala, her interview yesterday. I would like to report that only 25 babies were murdered that day during that convention. That's a low turnout for them. They really wanted more body parts to sell. That's not a joke. 25 kids were aborted in that van during the DNC convention.
All they had to do was increase the zone where the journalists could work and set the seats back a little further.
Pretty disgusting.
Everyone would have been fine.
There you go. So again, there's a reason why I wanted to play this, so you guys can see what was going on during that convention 2 weeks ago. Gender neutral prayer rooms. Do you think that that would be acceptable in the Middle East? Do you think that would be acceptable? This is a mockery, whether they know it or not. They're trying to be inclusive, but this is a mockery.
Kamala, on the other hand, has been fighting border crime for years. She's gone down to Mexico and worked to stop the traffickers. And when the traffickers didn't stop, she put them in jail.
This guy spoke at their convention. Again, I want to show you guys this stuff because it's very important. I don't know if anybody knew who this guy was, so I looked him up. And this here, this little clip on the top, I didn't make this, but I added the next part. So pay attention. Javier Salazar, he's a sheriff down in South Texas.
Tell us about what you are asking for. What are your needs?
Well, right now, thank you for having me. First off, right now, what I'm asking for is for the president or a member of his administration that can make decisions to come down and talk to not just me, but at least 12 other Texas sheriffs from major counties in the state of Texas that are dealing with this issue firsthand. So I'd like to see somebody from Washington come down here, get boots on the ground, get eyes on the issue at hand, and then talk to us, a bipartisan group of Texas sheriffs that are really taking a common sense approach because we have to.
53.
So he's in San Antonio. At the bottom, he's talking about how she arrested people. At the top, he was begging for somebody to come down to anybody. And this was what you guys probably remember this. This happened 2021-ish.
People died after being found inside that trailer in San Antonio in what one federal agent called the worst human smuggling incident in U.S. history. We've now learned that 4 people have been arrested and charged in this case. The sheriff is now pleading with President Biden for assistance. He has written this in a letter. I'm angry, Mr. President. I'm angry that I could not stop this massive loss.
Who's that sheriff on the bottom? Oh, that's the guy who spoke at the DNC. Interesting, huh? Very interesting.
Loss of life in my county. I'm angry that despite my best efforts to appeal to your administration, I have not received a response.
He had not received a response. So after these 53 people died while they were being smuggled, He then had a change of heart and said, you know what, Kamala, you did a great job. I'm supporting you. Who is this guy? Javier Salazar. Clearly, he was paid or something else is going on here, because how can he be over there championing this woman when a year, 2 years before, he's begging and telling how angry he is that 53 illegals were killed being smuggled in a truck. And they were just left. I don't know if you guys remember this story. Pretty terrifying. How you doing, Vibes in my lane?
And he also criticized Texas Governor Greg Abbott in his letter. Joining us now is the sheriff of Bexar County, Texas, Javier Salazar. What do you want the president to do? I mean, what could he do that would help you and your deputies on the ground?
Well, what I'd like the president to start with, and not that I'm trying to blame him for anything that's going on, but we haven't seen him down here. It's noticeable among Texas law enforcement. I'm seeing a loss of confidence in the federal administration, and which has been going on for a couple of years now. But you know, what I'd like to see is have the president himself or the vice president herself come down, get eyes on it, get boots on the ground, get eyes on the situation, and realize that it goes beyond just the border and what I've termed a campaign stunt. All these assets being poured onto the border, and these people are making it past that anyway, and ending up here in what I'm calling a hub location. And so what I'd like to see is the president and or his administration physically come down here and get eyes on the situation, and then hear what local law enforcement has to say about what we're dealing with on a daily basis.
Taking away our freedom to control.
So that sheriff, let's go back real quick. So you guys can see who this guy is, because he spoke at the Democratic National Convention. Listen to what he said. Does that sound anything like the man you just saw who had to deal with 53 dead bodies from illegal immigrants?
Kamala, on the other hand, has been fighting border crime for years. She's gone down to Mexico and worked to stop the traffickers. And when the traffickers didn't stop, she put them in jail.
Then why were you begging her to come down there if she's been doing this for years and dealing with this for years? You said it had been a couple of years and you hadn't seen her or Joe Biden. Then you get to the DNC and were paid or whatever changed your mind. Maybe, I don't know, an appointment? Something changed your mind and made you praise her. I find that fascinating, because you were saying you hadn't seen her in years.
Also criticized Texas Governor Greg Abbott in his letter. Joining us now is the sheriff of Bexar County, Texas, Javier.
Maybe I misheard him. Let's see.
Salazar. What do you want the president to do? I mean, what could he do that would help you and your deputies on the ground?
Well, what I'd like the president to start with, and not that I'm trying to blame him for anything that's going on, but we haven't seen him down here. It's noticeable among Texas law enforcement. I'm seeing a loss of confidence in the federal administration, and which has been going on for a couple of years now.
Been going on for a couple of years now. So maybe this wasn't 2020. Maybe this wasn't as long ago as I thought. But either way, he said he hadn't seen Joe Biden. But then he jumps on stage and talks about how Kamala was handling for years. Does he say anything about Kamala?
Now, but you know, what I'd like to see is have the president himself or the vice president herself.
Oh, so she hadn't been down there. This dude is full of it. He's a fraud. He was either paid or promised something to get on that stage and lie, flat out lie.
Come down, get eyes on it, get boots on the ground, get eyes on the situation, and realize that it goes beyond just the border and what I've termed a campaign stunt. All these assets being poured onto the border, and these people are making it past that anyway, and ending up here in what I'm calling a hub location. And so what I'd like to see is the president and or his administration physically come down here and get eyes on the situation.
Somebody, anybody. I'd like to see somebody whether it's the president or somebody from the administration. Why would he get up on that stage and say she's been handling this for years? At the bottom of this, while this man is talking, 53 illegals were killed. They were left in a truck, in the trailer, because the guys ran from the police. They got their money. They just left them. And these people cooked in the back of a trailer. They all died.
And then hear what local law enforcement has to say about what we're dealing with on a daily basis.
Taking away our freedom to control our bodies, the freedom to become a mother through IVF like I did.
We want to make it easier for mothers and families to have babies, not harder. That includes supporting the availability of fertility treatments like IVF in every state in America. Like the overwhelming majority of Americans, including the vast majority of Republicans, conservatives, Christians, and pro-life Americans, I strongly support the availability of IVF for couples who are trying to have a precious baby.
He's actually taken that further, and he's trying to make insurance companies pay for that. Now, I don't know if he's going to be able to do that. He may be able to negotiate something like that. That's not something that I'm for, even though I think it really could be a big benefit. I'm not sure how you force a private entity to, or you mandate a private entity to do something. But if he can get that done, phenomenal. The reason for me putting that in there, and again, this is just the DNC, this is a recap of it. Michelle Obama lied. She just lied. And the whole DNC was filled with this kind of stuff.
Control our bodies, the freedom to become a mother through IVF like I did.
We want to make it easier for mothers and families to have babies, not harder.
The exact opposite.
The availability of fertility treatments like IVF in every state in America. Like the overwhelming majority of Americans, including the vast majority of Republicans, conservatives, Christians, and pro-life Americans, I strongly support the availability of IVF for couples who are trying to have a precious baby.
She and my father didn't aspire to be wealthy. In fact, they were suspicious of folks who took more than they needed.
Now, it may be that she's genuine, right? But again, the convention was full of lies and just pure hypocrisy. Listen to what she says. Her parents were suspicious of folks who took more than they needed. What does more than they need mean? Is that subjective? Doesn't seem like that's an objective reality.
Didn't aspire to be wealthy. In fact, they were suspicious of folks who took more than they needed.
So that's their Martha's Vineyard $12 million home, the Obamas. This is their DC home. It's a $8 million home. This is their Hawaii property, almost a $9 million home. Would her parents have been suspicious of them? She wore a $2,600 suit to make that speech, talking down about rich people when they have enough to buy. I don't know how many homes they could at least get 12 to 15 homes with the money that they spent on their homes. Actually, more than that. Her shoes were $1,000. Would her parents be suspicious of her?
I didn't know how much I missed them. I missed them. I missed that. I miss hearing that. This was a masterful act of leadership. It was a sacred task. They took it on well. It was like an oasis. I didn't realize I had been in a spiritual desert until they created that oasis on that stage, and they did a beautiful job tonight.
A big theme here at the DNC is that they're going to go after corporate gouging, and they're going to go after corporations, whether it's in taxes, largesse, loopholes. The RNC, we heard the same thing. They're going after the elites, the two sets of rules. Let me reveal a reality to you that has to be spoken to here, okay?
To be fair, no one at the RNC said that. He's just trying to sound like he's being neutral.
Okay? These are the soldiers. These are the men and the women that go back to their constituencies and their communities, and they fight. They take time from their jobs. They take time from their families. Republicans and Democrats alike, that's what they do. They need to charge these people up. They need to be able to get them on board. But there's another reality that is literally looking down on them. Greg, look at the ring of sweets, okay? This is not unique to Democrats. There is a game of money. When people talk about uniparty, we are strangled by the money reality in our politics. Those suites start at 500 grand. You think there's like a teacher group up in there? You think it's like the Cub Scouts of Columbia County, South Carolina, that's up in those boxes?
Speaking the truth right now.
Some of them are lobbies and good things. The media boxes, you think they're free? Why do you think I'm on the floor? News Nation is not a broke company. Nexstar is a massive organization. We are corporate media. We don't have one of those boxes because that's the game. You pay to play. Those boxes are filled with the same people that they say they're going to regulate. They are literally looking down on the faithful and being told, yeah, we're going to break down on them. We're going to make them pay their share. They paid $500, $700, $1 million, $1.5 million to have those seats. They get hotel suites that are probably gifted to the party. And the same thing is true with the Republican side. And they're going to take them down. They're going to change how it is. They are looking down from on high at the people who make the difference in their communities. And that is the reality of politics. And I had my producer walk around and show you those suites. Now, they're not all the same. They're not all the same. But the reality is, in 2000, they spent $300 million on presidential campaigns. 24 years later, you know what they're expected to spend? $10 billion. Do you know how much money Harris has raised in the last couple of weeks? Hundreds of millions. And that's success. A lot of it's small donor, a lot of it isn't. The most dangerous money in politics is now legal money because of Citizens United. You've got to know this. The idea that they can fight against it is almost laughable. It's almost laughable. So look and listen when you are told these things.
There it is. This is what I was waiting for. Not that what he was saying isn't phenomenal, because of all people, I never would have expected this coming from Chris Cuomo. Penthouse suite, $500,000 just to sit there, which means all that money goes into the PAC. Club level suite, $1 million to $1.5 million. Lower level suite, $2.5 million just to sit there and watch the convention. And the two lower level suites are $5 million to watch the convention from up close. So what he's saying is 100% correct. These are the people that they're going to tax more. Why would they do that if these are the people funding their campaigns?
Because I don't care what they promise you. Not here tonight, not at the RNC, not that Trump knows them, not that they don't own them. He did one of the biggest fundraisers I've ever heard of in my life out where I live.
But they are doing so in trying to put forward male figures, Tim Walz being one of them, Doug Emhoff last night, who can speak to men out there who might not be the sort of testosterone-laden, gun-toting kind of guy who wants to listen to Hulk Hogan and the kind of players that came out at the RNC, or might want to listen to that, but also, in addition, understand that it's okay in 2024 to be a man comfortable in his own skin who...
Sounds like she's saying that Emhoff, Kamala Harris's husband, appeals to the betas? Yeah, I think she's talking about betas. The more sensitive guys. The Van Joneses of the world who cry on national TV.
Supports a woman. And that's something that they really are trying to work on with male voters beyond the base.
Pronouns, I'm just really excited that we have the first black woman that could be the president of the United States.
Listen to this claim from Congresswoman Lisa Blunt Rochester of Delaware about Project 2025 and former President Trump.
He has, with his friends, said the quiet parts out loud, but not only said them out loud, he wrote a book about it. What's it called? Project 2025.
That is false. Trump did not write Project 2025. The project's big policy document published by the Heritage Foundation think tank lists dozens of people as authors, editors, contributors. Donald Trump is not among them.
In all these speeches, as good as they were, is that she's in the White House right now. Democrats have controlled the White House for 12 of the last 16 years. And for all of the talk about division and the problems in the country and people are hurting, Democrats have mostly controlled this country. Trump had it for 4. The Obamas and Biden had it for the rest of the time. And somehow, it's still all Trump's fault, and somehow she hasn't been at the center of it. So to me, that's still the glaring hole in this campaign that hasn't yet been solved at the convention. How do you explain all of the problems that will be solved by the person who is currently in there for the last 3.5 years, who is supposed to already be working on solving it?
And it was
12 of the last 16 years, Democrats have been in control. How do they? I don't understand how they always blame Republicans. Now, there are periods of time where one of the branches of Congress will have power. So they may not have the House or they may not have the Senate. They have to work with that. But it's very weird that that works. You can still blame the other side when you've had power for 12 of the last 16 years. Valiant Thor, how you doing? What's going on? I'm not going to read that one out loud. I'll put it up though. We got this under control.
though someone had plugged in a cable, a current was connected.
Oh, this is my favorite part. So somebody clipped this together and I have their names at the end. But listen to what they said at the end. Now, you guys saw the video I played first. How unpopular and how little they cared for Kamala Harris. Now, watch what they said about the convention. And we're almost done with this segment. I know it's kind of old news, but again, I still wanted to play this because the media, no matter what, is going to support their candidate. And this is proof of it.
And it was though someone had plugged in a cable, a current was connected, and there was pure electricity in the room.
Thank you for sharing with us some of the electricity.
The energy is incredibly electric.
You know, it was just electric.
As sort of electric as I've ever seen it. It was absolutely electric.
Talk to me about the atmosphere in here. Is it electric?
Excitement. It is electric.
Senator Schumer wasn't lying when he was saying that there's a lot of electricity and excitement right now.
So it's incredibly electric.
It's electric. Something just got uncorked.
Room in Chicago, quite electric tonight.
Last night was electric.
It'll be electric.
Electrifying.
The electrification.
There's electricity in this room, there's energy in this room, and there is enthusiasm in this room.
A lot of electricity and energy in this hall across this country like you've never seen before.
Not even with Barack Obama in 2008?
I think this rivals Barack Obama in 2008.
Okay.
Oh, that's who it is. MRC Newsbusters. We've talked about this before. You only have to repeat something 3 times for it to be effective. How many times did you hear them use that word? It's clearly a script. Clearly, they're reading a script. Electric, 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 electric. They're brainwashing people who may just be. You may be doing something else. You may be cooking. You may be, I don't know, doing homework. But you hear this over and over and over, and it just sinks. It has to. It sticks. That's just what it is. It's clearly brainwashing, or the attempt. We'll say the attempt. It's a disturbing trend emerging among the media wherein they seem to feel it's their duty to determine, which ideas people are allowed to be exposed to. And they literally read a script. How else does everybody come up with that one word to describe the convention? Electric? Really? Of all words, exciting would have been more realistic. But they chose a very specific one for their own power grid. It's crazy it's not crazy that it works. It's proven that kind of thing works. But I did want to go over something to show you guys that didn't matter. None of that mattered. Let me see if I can pull it up. Ah, crap. All right, might take a second more. I didn't have the tab open. Sorry. But there's this guy who I've mentioned before. He's got a genius idea that I wish I came up with. Here he is. Bam. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do this one here. All right. I want you guys to see how this person breaks down. This channel is a must follow. Let me move the map over here. All right. Present. Let's bring this up. The channel is called, what is this channel called? I'll get it. I think it's called Election Time. All right. So I want you guys to watch how this guy breaks down. Where's the name of the channel? Election Time. Yep, it's called Election Time. What he does is he takes Real Clear Politics averages, which is they take all the top polls and they average them out, just how it sounds. I can't believe I didn't come up with this idea. And he goes state for state. If there's a new poll released, he just simply looks at the polls and applies it to the map. This is the Electoral College map. I want you guys to see the reality. So you heard them talking about how electric everything is. This was 2 days ago. This is after the convention. And he goes state by state. And he breaks down how that state is going to go right now if the election were to happen. Now, you would think after the DNC, the week after the DNC, Kamala would be trending up. And you've heard about that in a couple of the polls. But there's only 2 polls that have been saying that. And they happen to be 2 of the polls that were really, really wrong in 2016 and 2020. But I want you guys to listen to this because to me, I find this fascinating. If it's boring, it is. But this is, to me, this is the kind of stuff I really, really, really like because you can learn a lot.
Safe blue states, Kamala Harris is easily the favorite to win Washington, Oregon, and California on the West Coast, as well as Colorado, Hawaii, and Illinois. And in the Northeast, New York, Vermont, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, District of Columbia, and the 1st District of Maine are all going to be solid for the vice president.
Now, at the top, he's showing the electoral map. Oh, I guess because I'm on the screen, it's not going to show it. But at the very top up here, you'll see that's where the totals are going to be of the electoral map as he tallies up these states.
As for Trump, he's the favorite in Utah, Wyoming, Idaho, Montana, North and South Dakota, all of Nebraska except the 2nd District, along with Kansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, Indiana, and South Carolina. And so with these solid states filled in for both candidates, Trump is at 122 electoral votes, Harris at 191, but there are many likely states for Trump that will help him make up the deficit. Looking at...
So he took all the hard states and just checked them off. Like, these are the states that they know are going to go blue or red. And now he's going to start breaking down the more questionable ones.
Those states now, likely states are ones where either candidate has between a 75 to a 95% chance at winning. So these states are still going to favor one candidate or the other, but they could get increasingly more competitive as November approaches. And in the past, they have been decided by margins of 15 percentage points or less. And so we'll begin with the 2 states of Iowa and Ohio. 2 states that have voted for Trump in both 2016 and 2020. Both times, Trump carried these 2 states by around 8 to 9 points. Before this, though, Iowa and Ohio were Obama states back in 2012. They were very much in the middle until Trump shifted these states by 15 points to the right and held on to them in 2020. In 2022, Iowa Republican Governor Kim Reynolds and Ohio Republican Governor Mike DeWine both won their re-elections by solid 20-point margins. And today, they're among the most Republican states in the country. Iowa and Ohio are both likely red. We also have Alaska, a state Trump has not won by a solid margin. The last Republican to win Alaska by 15 points or more was John McCain in 2008. There's no doubt Trump is going to win the state. It's just that there's slightly less confidence in Trump here than in some of the other states where he's up by 20, 30 points in the polls. And so Alaska, Trump has a 90% chance at winning, while in Texas, this is going to be a big victory for the former president. He carried the Lone Star State by 6 points.
I forgot to mention the other thing he does besides the polls, the real clear averages, is he uses the betting odds also, because those are people who are strictly focused on making money off of the election. Like they're taking bets. So I think it's a really good strategy and very, very, very accurate. And he's using historical data as well. So I really like this channel.
In 2020 by 9 points in 2016. And in 2024, he's probably going to do better in Texas than he's ever done before. Yes, the state generally is shifting to the left, but that is happening very slowly. I mean, in such a huge state of over 20 million people, it is going to take a long time for Democrats ever to be ahead in Texas if they even get to that point. And as of right now, the Republican Party has an 85% chance at holding on to the second largest state in the country. Alaska will also be likely red. And the final likely state for the former president is Florida. 30 electoral votes. Trump has an 83% chance at winning. Just like Iowa and Ohio, this state used to be among the most competitive. In fact, it was the top battleground state. Obama won Florida in 2012 by less than 1%. It was the only tilt state on the map. It was also, of course, very close in 2000 when Bush won by just a few hundred votes. And so today, Donald Trump has taken Florida and put it firmly in the Republican camp. Florida is a red state. We saw that with the 20-point re-election victory of Ron DeSantis in 2022. And of course, looking at the markets today, Democrats have a very low chance at flipping a state they haven't won in 12 years. Florida is going to give Trump an additional 30 electoral votes, and Trump now takes the lead at 218. Before we continue, only 15% of you guys are actually subscribed, so please take the time to subscribe right now for more content like this leading up to the election in November. And follow me on Twitter for daily political updates. Link in the description below. We're now going to take a look at the likely states for Kamala Harris, starting off in Minnesota, which is Governor Tim Walz's home state. Walz has provided the vice president with a boost here. Harris has a 93% chance at winning a state Democrats haven't lost since 1972. And looking at the odds, Biden actually only had a 56% chance at one point right before he dropped out. Republicans can win in Minnesota. Just look at 2016 when Trump came within 2 points of flipping it against Hillary Clinton. And when looking at the entire trajectory...
And I talked about this before. This is the reason why she chose Walz as her running mate. They have the vice presidents have two jobs, to hand over a state that's lacking and then pushing the president's agenda to Congress, to senators, and to the House.
You have a 91% chance at winning. Joe Biden won Minnesota by 11 points, but the state today is shifting to the right as Hispanic voters continue moving in favor of the GOP, and New Mexico is the only state in the country with a Hispanic majority electorate, and so the state is also going to be likely blue, but probably not for too much longer. Moving up to Maine, we have a state where Harris has an 86% chance at winning. Maine can also get competitive, just like Minnesota. In 2016, Clinton came out with just a 3-point victory. 4 years later, though, Biden wins it by a nearly double-digit margin. But today, Kamala Harris is performing all right. She has an 86% chance at winning. She's probably going to win the at-large vote and the 2 electoral votes that come along with it from the state of Maine. Moving down to Virginia, we have a state where Joe Biden, before he dropped out, at one point he had just a 57% chance at winning, a state that Democrats haven't lost since 2004, and a state that really moved to the left quite a bit from 2010 until 2021 when it elected a Republican governor in Glenn Youngkin. Since then, Virginia has taken a slight shift to the right. Republicans can definitely get competitive in Virginia in the coming years, but as of right now, with Harris having replaced Biden at the top of the Democratic ticket, she has an 85% chance at holding on to a state Biden carried by a double-digit margin 4 years ago. And finally, we have New Hampshire, another state that was very close in 2016. In fact, it was the second closest state in the entire country. Clinton won the Granite State by less than half a percentage point. Only Michigan was more competitive. Today, Kamala Harris has an 81% chance. That's basically a 4 in 5 chance at holding on to the state, which Biden carried by 7 points 4 years ago. So New Hampshire is going to be the final likely blue state on our map. We also have the 2nd district of Nebraska, where the odds for Kamala Harris lie in the 70% range. And so with these solid and likely states filled in for both candidates, Harris and Trump are neck and neck. Harris at 226, Trump at 218. We're now going to get into the lean states where either candidate has between a 55 to a 75% chance at winning. So these states are going to be among the most competitive. although there is a chance that they actually go to the other candidate, although it is still unlikely. And so we're going to start off with the two lean Trump states. We have the 2nd District of Maine, which I'm just going to get out of the way, but we also have North Carolina and Georgia. North Carolina is a state Democrats have only won once since 1976, and that was Barack Obama back in 2008 when he defeated John McCain by a 0.3% margin.
So I'm going to move forward towards the end because the last 2 or 3 are the most important ones. But this is why I really enjoy this channel, because he breaks down every single state. And it's really, really, really cool to watch. Very interesting stuff for nerds like me. Let's see. Let's get towards the end. Yeah, we can watch from here.
2016 and 2020. But today, he is the favorite to win a state Republicans haven't won since 2004. Its 6 electoral votes are not going to single-handedly decide the election, but if Trump can win Nevada, it's a very good side that he'll do well in the other regions of the Sun Belt and potentially even the Midwest. And now the final state on this map, 19 electoral votes. Even if Trump wins all of the competitive states in the Sun Belt, he still needs Pennsylvania. Kamala Harris has to win all of the states in the upper Midwest if she wants to have any shot at getting to 270. But as of right now, Donald Trump is the slight favorite in the Keystone State. He has a 51% chance at winning. His odds have been going back and forth with Harris in terms of who's leading. But as of right now, Pennsylvania is a red state. And generally, if Pennsylvania goes red, Wisconsin will as well. It's going to be tilt red on our map as of this point. And so Donald Trump is on track to win 287 electoral votes to Kamala Harris's 251.
You only need 270 to win.
And so Poly Market's forecast gives Trump a very slight edge, but considering how people almost always underestimate Trump, I would say he is in a pretty strong position to win back the White House in just 70 days.
Now, the reason why I wanted to show that is because they just had their convention, and she's still on track to lose. She should have gotten a boost. She never got the boost. She never got the boost. I encourage everybody to like and subscribe to that channel because that's a really, really, really interesting channel. And he does different types of those maps. So the last one he just did was he used 2020 and 2016, and he used the margin of error that all the polls had, which was 4 points. Everyone overstated the Democrats' numbers by 4 points. And then he applied it to if that happens again, and Trump wins with over 300 electoral votes. Very, 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 very interesting. Anyway, I wanted to go over that because, again, it shows that what the left is saying and what the media is saying means absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. So I would like to go over this guy. Tim Walz seems to be a complete scumbag. And I'm going to show you why I say that. Do I have it? Yes, there it is. Cool. Let me make sure I hurry up and pause it.
Why are you another?
Nope, that's not the right one. Is that the right one? Yes, it is. Okay, so Tim Walz is the guy running for VP. I don't know why Kamala chose him, but she did. And now we're going to learn a little bit about Tim Walz.
So why are you and other Republicans doing this?
Well, I want to be clear and correct your characterization. I'm not attacking a service. I served in the National Guard for 22 out of my 27 years. And I know plenty of guardsmen and reservists who served. Maybe they went to combat, maybe they didn't. They retired at a certain rank. Good on them, and I celebrate them. He said he's proud of that service. If he's so damn proud about it, why does he have to continue to embellish it and to lie about it? Because the facts are clear. He was promoted to sergeant major, but he didn't do the things necessary to retire at that rank and was demoted. And yet there is ample, hundreds of incidences where he is describing himself as a retired command sergeant major.
Now, I don't know if there's anybody who was in the military in here, but stolen valor is a pretty serious thing, to the point where the government decided to make it illegal. Like, you can actually pay a fine or do time for lying about your military service. If you're going to be a public servant, lying about your military service should be even worse, in my opinion. Because you're not just lying about it, on a street corner trying to get, pocket change. You're now running for office claiming to be something that you were not. And it's very, very offensive. And amongst military people, it's even more offensive.
To the state champs, Teacher of the Year, Command Sergeant Major, retiring 4 years late after a tour supporting the war in Afghanistan.
I'm Tim Walz, and I approve this message.
And I have to tell you, as a member of Congress and as a veteran and a retired sergeant major and a citizen, I'm ashamed that you have to come here.
He's not a retired sergeant major. And he did not serve in any combat zone. So that's another thing that's about to come up
Here today, that the idea that you would have to come here and ask this Congress to do the right thing for your son is absolutely appalling.
Hi, my name is Tim Walz, and I'm running for Congress here in southern Minnesota. I am a retired Command Sergeant Major in the Minnesota National Guard.
Good morning. I'm Tim Walz, and I'm running for Congress in Minnesota's 1st Congressional District. I'm a retired Command Sergeant Major. I spent 24 years in the Army National Guard. As a 24-year veteran of the National Guard and the Red Bull Division and a retired Command Sergeant Major, I'm especially proud of you.
By being elected from this district and being a retired Command Sergeant Major, I am the highest ranking enlisted soldier to ever serve in Congress since the beginning of this nation.
So they're saying that they think that that's why he was doing it. So he could make some kind of, he could be some kind of first. Problem is he's lying about his rank. He did not retire in that position. And he did not serve in Afghanistan or Iraq.
When the veterans of foreign wars testified in front of Congress, afterwards the commander came up to me and he said, it's about damn time that Congress got a sergeant major.
Now we'll hear from Command Sergeant Major Tim Walz. I want him to know how much we all appreciate his service to our country, whether it's in the classroom or on the battlefield.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you to the leadership here. Thank you to my brother-in-arms, Patrick Murphy, who is also my roommate. And I'd like to say a special thank you to Chairman Lantos, who an awful lot of wisdom. And as we were speaking about the idea of
He did not serve in Afghanistan. So at some point, the media started taking part in this lie. And they're just running with it. Why? Because he's a Democrat.
a resolution.
So this says Waltz is one of at least 14 servicemen and women from the most recent Iraq and Afghanistan wars to have enlisted for U.S. House or Senate. It's just not true. It's just not true. This is him holding up an enduring freedom sign. He did not serve. That says that he is a veteran of Operation Enduring Freedom. It's not true. It's a lie. This is a lie. That was actually John Kerry's endorsement of him. It's not true. It's a lie.
Congressman Tim Walz, also a member of the Armed Services Committee and Veterans Affairs, Democrat of Minnesota, highest ranking enlisted soldier ever to serve in Congress, enlisted in the Army National Guard at 17 and retired 24 years later as Command Sergeant Major and served with his battalion at Operating Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan.
So he didn't even correct her. When she said three things that weren't true and he didn't bother to correct her. That's wrong. It's wrong.
I'm retired Sergeant Major in the Army National Guard. I've been voting for common sense legislation that protects the Second Amendment, but we can do background checks. We can do CDC research. We can make sure we don't have reciprocal carry among states, and we can make sure that those weapons of war that I carried in war is...
He never served in a combat zone. We can make sure those weapons of war that I carried in war. He's lying. Flat out lying. This is the guy who wants to be the VP. Now, Biden lied a lot also, and he became president. So maybe it actually serves you. But somebody in the media should be calling this out.
The only place where those weapons are at.
So this says, Waltz in a more than 2-hour-long interview with Harris. Let's see. So they vetted him. And Harris's team had him answer questions about his Army National Guard and he warned the campaign that his military record is going to be attacked because he knew that he's lying. Then they said, we knew he served. We knew people tried to make an issue about it before, but we knew his answer. That's just one of her aides. And it says he was open and honest about it. So I guess he said I lied, and they're good with it. This is what the people will try to say, but here are the facts. And we deal in the world of facts. So Trump lies and distorts, and we believe the American people will hear the facts. He didn't retire the rank he says he did, and he didn't serve in any wars. And he says he did. 2 of them. It's a lie.
I think we.
And then here's the worst part about it, because this guy's running for president. Hi, Juicy Fruit. How you doing? What's going on? This is the guy who's openly lying about his service. This is what he believes about other people lying.
I think we need to push back on this. There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech, and especially around our democracy.
Actually, there is a guarantee. You can say what you want. They don't determine what is good speech and what you can and can't say. They just don't. So this is the guy who's running for VP. Now, let's get to the interview, because this is the part that I really, 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 really enjoyed going over. Where is it? What do I do with it? Oh, come on. Where is it? Did I really lose the interview? Sorry. You gotta be kidding me. All right. 1 second. Where is the interview? How did I lose the whole interview? Did I move it? Let's check over here. Interview. Oh, there it is. All right. Sorry. I'm in the wrong folder. There we go. Sorry about that. I'm like, what's going on?
Why isn't it live? It's not a live interview. It's an interview that's going to be taped and then edited and then put out. So that's not even an interview. Then she's doing it with her vice president sitting there. So she's not very smart. I can't imagine. Everyone's waiting for her to do an interview because she's been a very big failure in interviews before, as you know, a tremendous failure. And she brings in the vice president, who, by the way, isn't so good himself. He's been a disaster.
The voters are really eager to hear what our plans are. If you are elected.
So I decided to put the question up in the upper left-hand corner, because you're going to see how long it takes her to answer a question, and you're going to see that she doesn't answer most of the questions. What her strategy is, you say, okay, did you drink this glass of milk? She describes the glass of milk. She describes when she got it. She describes what it would take to drink it, but she never actually answers the actual question. So this is her strategy. It's an interesting one. I don't understand how it's working, but this is the first time she's been exposed, and I'm here. I'm all here for it.
Elected, what would you do on day 1 in the White House?
There's a question.
Well, there are a number of things. I will tell you, first and foremost, one of my highest priorities is to do what we can to support and strengthen the middle class. When I look at the aspirations, the goals, the ambitions of the American people, I think that people are ready for a new way forward, in a way that generations of Americans have been fueled by hope and by optimism.
All right, so the question, this is why I left it up there. This is why I typed it in and left it up there. If you're elected, what would you do on day 1 in the White House? She's talking about feelings and emotions, and
I think sadly in the last decade, we have had in the former president someone who has really been pushing an agenda and an environment.
In the last decade, Trump had the office for 4 years out of the last decade. Democrats had it all the rest of the time. What's going on, Mel Dub? So again, the question is up there. She still hasn't even She hasn't even touched the topic yet.
That is about diminishing the character and the strength of who we are as Americans, really dividing our nation, and I think people are ready to turn the page on that.
So what would you do day one?
She had to follow up on the most basic question. So, what would you do?
Day one, it's going to be about, one, implementing my plan for what I call an opportunity economy. I've already laid out a number of proposals in that regard.
What are they?
Which include what we're going to do to bring down the cost of everyday goods, what we're going to do to invest in America's small businesses, what we're going to do to invest in families, for example, extending the child tax credit.
There we go. So she just came up with a plan, a policy, an actual thing that she's going to do. And what is the thing? Let's go back just a tad.
Businesses, what we're going to do to invest in families, for example, extending the child tax credit.
Extending the child tax credit means she's taking something Trump put in place and extending it. This is her policy so far. She's been talking for 2 minutes. And this 1 minute 56 seconds, sorry. And the first policy she came up with is Trump's child care tax plan. Or child tax plan.
Invest in America's small businesses, what we're going to do to invest in families, for example, extending the child tax credit to $6,000 for families for the first year of their child.
An extension is adding on to something that's already there. This isn't her policy. This is the first thing she said. Mel, 12 of the last 16 years have been there. You can take it further back. Mel said 8 of the last 12 years have been Democrat-led, and Democrats have held majorities in the House and Senate more times than Republicans. Absolutely. And they didn't do any of the stuff that they said, except for Obamacare. They did push that one through.
Life, to help them buy a car seat, to help them buy baby clothes, a crib. There's the work that we're going to do that is about investing in the American family around affordable housing, a big issue in our country right now.
So what would you do on day one? She's given one thing that's extending something that's already there. Everything else she's doing is she's describing the problems. That's not policy. She's not giving policy. She's describing the question. What would you do? Well, we have to do this. We have to do this. Okay, what are you going to do, lady? What are you doing?
So there are a number of things on day one.
What about you?
Well, I'm excited about this agenda, too. As I said, the idea of inspiring America to what can be. And I think many of these things that the vice president's proposing are things that we share in values. And the child tax credit is one we know that reduces childhood poverty by 1/3. We did.
That's one that we know. That's the only one she listed. He said it reduced poverty by 1/3. She said it reduced poverty by 50%. Why not keep going? Why stop at 1/3? Why stop at half? What they're saying makes no sense. He just repeated back what she said. Well, yeah, this is great. Wonderful. He's the one who said that she brings joy.
In Minnesota, to have a federal partner in this, unbelievable, I think, in the impact that we can make.
You talked about, you call it the opportunity economy. You are well aware that right now many Americans are struggling. There's a crisis of affordability. One of your campaign themes is we're not going back. But I wonder what you say to voters who do want to go back when it comes to the economy specifically, because their groceries were less expensive, housing was more affordable when Donald Trump was president.
All right, so the question, I reframed it. What do you say to voters who do want to go back? And absolutely, reducing it for 1 year. That solves all the problems, Juicy Fruit. Don't you get it? She's extending the tax cut that was Trump's. That is her plan. On day one, that is the only thing that she came up with in 3 minutes, 5 seconds. So now they move on to the next question for some reason. I don't know why Dana Bash didn't follow up, but she likes her. She's going to ask some leading questions also. So what do you say to the voters who do want to go back?
Well, let's start.
Oh, Mel, I just played a whole thing on that. Notice how the media is allowing him to claim he misspoke. I played him saying it at least 10 times. So if you get a chance, go back and watch that. You're going to be like, oh my gosh. And he did it in writing. And he did it about 3 different things. He did not serve in any combat, but he claimed to serve in Afghanistan, Iraq, and he claimed to have retired, I forgot the command sergeant major. He didn't. All lies. Stolen valor, literally. The definition of it. And they're saying he misspoke, and they're allowing him to say that. Anyway.
Start with the fact that when Joe Biden and I came in office, during the height of a pandemic, we saw over 10 million jobs were lost. People, I mean, literally, we were all tracking the numbers. Hundreds of people a day were dying because of COVID.
According to her, 250 million people died in the U.S. with COVID. I should have said that word. Now it's gonna flag on the bottom of my channel. Anyway, she didn't say why the jobs were lost. 3 months in, 3 to 4 months into that demic time, that period of time, the jab period, Trump said, okay, it's time to start getting back to work, right? Several governors, all blue, said, no, we are locking down. He was arguing with these governors all the way through the end of his term. So that was another 8-9 months. He was arguing with them. The reason I know exactly when he said, hey, it's time to open back up is because Texas opened back up. Now, there were some businesses who stayed closed, but the governor said it is time to open back up. What's going on, Rare Money? How you doing, sir? So the government opened back up. The federal government did. States stayed closed. And that's what cost people those millions of jobs. It has nothing to do with Trump. She's trying to blame it on him when he's the one who fought for it. Like, he was arguing with these governors. Hey, you guys need to open back up. You need to open back up. You need to open back up. The reason he was doing that is because he knew that the economy was going to crash. They wanted it. Yeah, look at her face. They wanted it. They wanted it. So let's listen to her lie some more.
The economy had crashed. In large part, all of that because of mismanagement by Donald Trump. Of that.
Mismanagement by Trump or mismanagement by all those mandates by governors? See, they were so busy on stealing the They were so busy on protecting democracy that they forgot about the people and the jobs. And then riots started. So now you have businesses, the few businesses that were open were being destroyed. So when Trump talked about opportunity zones, he had huge corporations investing in our communities. And what do? We turned around and allowed white people to come into our neighborhoods as Antifa and destroy the businesses. That's what we did. And then we said, well, what did Trump do for us? Well, what did he do, or what did he try to do? Because those states allowed riots. Tim Walz's state allowed riots. He allowed it to be on fire.
Crisis. When we came in, our highest priority was to do what we could to rescue America. And today, we know that we have inflation at under 3%.
All right, let's take a look at inflation. So I took the time to look this stuff up and add my own little, let's see, let me make this bigger. There we go. All right, so I don't think you guys can see my cursor, but right now inflation is at 2.9%. When Trump left office, it was at 2.49%. Actually, no, it had dropped down to 0. Holy crap. So it had dropped down to 0 in May of 2020, and then it shot up to over 9% in June 2022. How is she blaming what happened in 2022 on Trump when he was out of office in 2020, January 2020? And here she is still trying to blame him for inflation. Lady, you guys were in power for over a year. How are you blaming this on Trump? But this is what the left does. And then, for some reason, we have our people who listen to this nonsense and just buy into it and say, yeah, well, that happened because of the jab period. And they blame Trump. He was gone for 2 years.
A lot of our policies have led to the reality that America recovered faster than any wealthy nation around the world.
America recovered when businesses started opening back up and everyone went back to work. And what do? They take credit for everybody going back to work. They're the reason why everybody was out of work. They stayed locked down until Trump was gone. And then they extended it a whole nother year of mandates and masks and 6 foot here. And you can't go swimming. You can't go eating. You can't go to funerals. You can't go to church. And then they wonder why the economy was trash. And then they want to take credit when they allow everybody to go back to work.
But you are right. Prices, in particular for groceries, are still too high.
All right. I'm going to keep doing this because this is that important to me. All right. Transportation, up 27%. Food and beverages, up 25%. Housing, up 24%. Other goods and services, up 22%. Recreation, up 13%. Medical care, up 10%. Apparel, up 7%. Education and communications, up 5%. Whose fault is that? How can you blame Trump? Now, mind you, the question, let's go back. The question is, what do you say to voters who want to go back? Because her campaign slogan is, we don't want to go back to Trump. The people are saying, yeah, I do want to go back. And this is her explanation?
By Donald Trump of that crisis. When we came in, our highest priority was to do what we could to rescue America. And today, we know that we have inflation at under 3%. A lot of our policies have led to the reality that America recovered faster than any wealthy nation around the world. But you are right. Prices, in particular for groceries, are still too high. The American people know it, I know it.
Prices in everything are too high.
Which is why my agenda includes what we need to do to bring down the price of groceries.
Right,
for example, dealing with an issue like price gouging. What we need to do to extend the child tax credit to help young families be able to take care of their children in their most formative years.
Mind you, these are not policies. She's saying what needs to happen. She's saying what needs to happen.
Faster than any wealthy nation around.
She's not saying how she's going to do it.
But you are right. Prices, in particular for groceries, are still too high. The American people know it, I know it. Which is why my agenda includes what we need to do to bring down the price of groceries. For example, dealing with an issue like price gouging. What we need to do
is dealing with an issue a policy? Her plan is to deal with the issue. That's her policy.
To extend the child tax credit to help young families be able to take care of their children in their most formative years.
She went back to the extending the child tax credit. That's from Trump. What are you going to do? The question's still up there. I left it up there for a reason. What are you going to do, Kamala? Kamala? What are you going to do? Everything she's saying, she's repeating the problem. I need you to go get groceries. Okay, cool. All right. She just starts listing off the grocery list. She doesn't say what store she's going to go to. She didn't say how she's going to pay for the groceries when she gets there. She didn't break down the grocery list to see what are necessities and what aren't. And she didn't look at the budget to see if she can pay for it. She's just saying, okay, well, we need to go get groceries. I'm going to go to H-E-B, or I'm going to go to Albertsons, or I'm going to go to Kroger, and I'm going to get the groceries. This is my plan. Lady, this is not policy talk. You're repeating the problem. You're stating the issue. You're not giving solutions.
What we need to do to bring down the cost of housing.
What we need to do.
My proposal includes what would be a tax credit of $25,000 for first-time home buyers.
Miss Akimi, how you doing? How you doing? So her policy is to give $25,000, while illegals get $30,000 in one state, up to $150,000 in another state. How is this going to impact people on a federal scale, on a national scale? Grant Cardone destroyed this argument. He said the builders are already giving this much. What else you got, lady? What else do you have?
So they can just have enough to put a down payment on a home, which is part of the American dream and their aspiration, but do it in a way that allows them to actually get on the path to achieving that goal and that dream.
So you have been vice president for 3.5 years.
Yeah.
There we go.
The steps that you're talking about now, why haven't you done them already?
Great question. Let's see if she answers it.
Well, first of all, we had to recover as an economy, and we have done that. I'm very proud of the work that we have done that has brought inflation down to less than 3%. The work that we have done to cap the cost of insulin at $35 a month for seniors.
All right. Now, this is another lie she's been saying a lot. So I'm going to put in where she got that idea from. I think I played it before, but this is the reason why I took that clip. You hear what she said? They capped, yeah, we're recovered, Miss Hakimi. They capped insulin at 35. All right, let's see where that idea.
Very proud of the work that we have done that has brought inflation down to less than 3%. The work that we have done to cap the cost of insulin at $35 a month for seniors.
Cost is just $35 a month per type of insulin, and some plans may offer it free. So for everybody who's getting ripped off and paying tremendous prices, senior citizens, is a tremendous saving.
It is President Biden and I that took on Big Pharma and finally capped the cost of insulin for our seniors at $35 a month.
So they took a policy that Trump ran on in 2020, and she's taking credit for it because Congress pushed it through. She's taking credit for it like she did it. And she's celebrating. Not only is she celebrating, but she's now going to say Trump is trying to take that right away. He created it. Why would he do that?
But Donald Trump and his running mate intend to get rid of our $35 cap on insulin. We did it. So now, as I travel in the state of Georgia and around our country, the number of seniors that have benefited. I was in Nevada recently, a grandmother who showed me her receipts.
Oh.
And before we capped the cost of insulin for seniors at $35 a month, she was paying hundreds of dollars, up to thousands of dollars a month for her insulin.
So that lady has to thank Donald Trump, right? So far she's given three policies. She's given three policies. Tax cut that she extended from the Trump administration, the $25,000 loan thing, and now she's taking credit for the $35 thing that she's lifted from Donald Trump. It's incredible that anyone allows this nonsense. In my opinion, she isn't even good at giving. Oh no, she's terrible. She's terrible. That's why she repeats the same thing over and over and over and over. That she's terrible, Ms. Hakimi.
She's not doing that anymore.
You maintain Bidenomics is a success.
New question.
I maintain that when we do the work of bringing down prescription medication for the American people, including capping the cost of the annual cost of prescription medication for seniors at $2,000, when we do what we did in the first year of being in office to extend the child tax credit so that...
That's the fourth time she's mentioned a Donald Trump policy that she just extended. That has nothing to do with her. They didn't stop it. They didn't do anything. The fourth time she's mentioned the same policy.
We cut child poverty in America by over 50%.
Didn't he say a third? Didn't Walt say it cut child poverty by a third? She just said 50%. Which one is it? Which one is it?
That when we do the work of bringing down prescription medication for the American people, including capping the cost of the annual cost of prescription medication for seniors at $2,000, when we do what we did in the first year of being in office to extend the child tax credit so that we cut child poverty in America by over 50%, when we do what we have done to invest in the American people and bringing manufacturing back to the United States so that we created over 800,000 new manufacturing jobs.
So if you go by her number just now, they brought in 800,000 manufacturing jobs. We can wipe that clear and just say, well, that didn't happen. And it doesn't mean these are the same jobs, but we'll just subtract that 800,000 and let's start back at zero. Because the U.S. added 818,000 fewer jobs than reported. This is the New York Times. Labor Department issued revised figures for the 12 months through March at that point to greater economic fragility. So she wants to take credit for 800,000 manufacturing jobs. Well, okay, cool. What about the 800,000 that were never in existence that you guys accounted for? Not only does it zero it out, it's a negative of 18,000 jobs. You got to make those up. Hey, Kamala. I need you to find me 18,000 jobs. Is that going to lead to impeachment?
Bringing business back to America, what we have done to improve the supply chain so we're not relying on foreign governments to supply American families with their basic needs.
All right. Supply chain crisis happened because of energy. When we stopped drilling, we ran out of the ability to transport the way we were. We had to ask OPEC to start producing more oil because Biden stopped producing oil here. Now, he didn't completely stop, but he cut it to the point where we needed to import. When right before he got in office, we were exporting oil. That caused the supply chain crisis. I don't know if you guys remember, they were showing shipping containers, hundreds, just sitting out at sea because they were backed up. That was their crisis during the pandemic. That was their crisis. So she wants credit for that crisis slowing down. It still hasn't ended, but she wants credit for it slowing down. This is insane. I don't know where those jobs are, Miss Akimi, but she's in the whole 18,000 jobs she needs to speak to.
What we have done to improve the supply chain so we're not relying on foreign governments to supply American families with their basic needs, I'll say that that's good work. There's more to do, but that's good work.
I want to get some clarity on where you see some key policy issues. Energy is a big one. When you were in Congress, you supported the Green New Deal. And in 2019, you said, quote, "There is no question I'm in favor of banning fracking." Fracking, as you know, is a pretty big issue, particularly in your must-win state of Pennsylvania.
Sure.
Do you still want to ban fracking?
No, and I made that clear on the debate stage in 2020, that I would not ban fracking. As vice president, I did not ban fracking. As president, I will not ban fracking.
The fact check bottom line, Abby, is that she did not actually make clear at a 2020 debate that she had changed her previous support for a fracking ban. So let me take you through this kind of saga. So
this is CNN fact checking her. They're trying to regain credibility, so doing a little bit better job. They're still terrible, but at least they're doing fact checks on both sides now.
Here's what she said at a CNN climate town hall in 2019 on the subject of a fracking ban.
Will you commit to implementing a federal ban on fracking your first day in office, adding the United States to the list of countries who have banned this devastating practice?
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking.
No question.
So, yeah.
That was quite clear. So she ended her 2020 presidential run in December.
Wait, hold on. The question is, are you still going to ban fracking? Let's see.
Well, they're by over 50%.
Where is it? Right here. What did she say?
No, and I made that clear on the debate stage in 2020.
Made it clear.
That I did not ban fracking. As vice president, I did not ban fracking. As president, I will not ban fracking.
The fact check bottom line, Abby, is that she did not actually make clear at a 2020 debate that she had changed her previous support for a fracking ban. So let me take you through this kind of saga. So here's what she said at a CNN climate town hall in 2019 on the subject of a fracking ban.
Let's see if she's.
Will you commit to implementing a federal ban on fracking your first day in office, adding the United States to the list of countries who have banned this devastating practice?
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. So, yeah.
No question.
That was quite clear. So she ended her 2020 presidential run in December 2019. The only debate she participated in 2020 was the general election debate with then Vice President Mike Pence. And I went over the transcript of that debate tonight. Nowhere in there does she make clear that she had abandoned her previous support for a fracking ban. Maybe other people feel differently. I certainly did not hear anywhere in there Kamala Harris saying that she personally had abandoned her previously expressed 2019 view. Rather, again, she was speaking for Joe Biden.
So it changed in that campaign?
In 2020, I made very clear where I stand. We are in 2024, and I've not changed that position, nor will I going forward. I kept my word, and I will keep my word.
Okay, so this is an outright lie. You just saw in September, 2019, she took a hard stance, said absolutely. She dropped out in December. Nowhere in there did she say that she changed her mind.
Made you change that position at the time?
Well, let's be clear. My values have not changed. I believe it is very important that we take seriously what we must do to guard against what is a clear crisis in terms of the climate. And to do that, we can do what we have accomplished thus far. The Inflation Reduction Act, what we have done to invest, by my calculation, over probably $1 trillion over the next 10 years, investing in a clean energy economy. What we've already done, creating over 300,000 new clean energy jobs. That tells me, from my experience as vice president, we can do it without banning fracking. In fact, Dana, I cast the tie-breaking vote.
You sure did.
That actually increased leases for fracking as vice president. So I'm very clear about where I stand.
First thing I want.
That's the same vote that implemented taxes on tips, or the documentation of taxes on tips. Kartramata Jagger, how you doing? So she's bragging about that vote. That's the same one. That's the same one that everyone's been playing. That had the IRS, it gave the IRS a easier route to taxing tips, which she's now against, of course. Flat out liar. What do you guys think? What do you think? What, I showed you the map of where she really is in the polls and in the betting, as far as the election goes. I showed you that. What do you think? Anybody want to come up, discuss? If not, I do have some other stuff I can go over. I just find it funny. Hilarious, actually. She just lies. This lady allows it. I have 2 more sections of that interview. I'll probably do a live and just cover both of them. But I want to throw in the edits like I did to show what she's saying is just nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. I can do, there's one more thing. I have a lot of black women. I have a very, very good compilation, but I'm going to save that one for later. And then I have another thing on illegals that is going to infuriate people. But she did, where is she? I have something. Oh, this one here. This is funny to me. Do you really think she's evil? This one's funny.
I can't let you go without asking about the debate. It's making a lot of headlines. Is Trump planning on attending the ABC News debate September 10th? I know that there was some talk about being upset with the rules of it and maybe how ABC News conducted a recent interview with Senator Tom Cotton. Can you give us any insight? Will we see Trump debate Kamala Harris on ABC News?
Let's set the record straight on this. President Trump and our campaign committed to the ABC debate with the rules that were originally proposed, the same exact rules as the CNN debate where he competed and dominated Joe Biden. Kamala Harris's camp agreed to those rules as well. Now, all of a sudden, the Kamala Harris campaign is backpedaling. They are demanding new rules. They want it to be a seated debate. They want her to have notes on the debate stage. They want her to have an opening statement. It's probably because they've started their debate prep and her campaign team is realizing that she is not equipped to debate President Trump. If she can't debate President Trump with a simple set of rules, then she is certainly not fit to be commander-in-chief. It was her campaign spokesperson, Michael Tyler, who said the debate about debates is over. Well, now they're back to debating about debates. We are done. We have committed to the rules set by ABC, and Kamala Harris needs to be on that stage. We will see if she shows up.
She won't. So she's trying to change the debate rules. She wants to have notes. She wants to have notes during the debate. There was, I want to say, was it John McCain? One of the elections, it was a big deal because they thought the other person had notes. They thought they had an earpiece. So that every time they were asked a question, they thought they were being fed the answers. I don't remember who it was. Either way, it's so offensive to say that I should have notes. If you can't deal with Donald Trump, how are you going to deal with Kim Jong-un? How are you going to deal with Putin? Like, it's nonsense. It's nonsense for her to even be trying to get out of it. Through the entire DNC, all she did was brag and say that Trump was running scared. He doesn't want to debate. He never said he didn't want to debate. Never won. Once. Yes, she'll need a teleprompter. She's not even good with the teleprompter, to be honest. She really isn't. Teleprompter can't help when somebody asks you a question that you can't answer. That's where she always falls into trouble. You saw even in a softball interview with Dana Bash, she was getting stumped, and it took her 3 minutes to answer the first question, and then her answer was Trump's policy. She's terrible. She's not good. She's really, really bad. Really bad. Let me check this over here. Cool. Nobody to thank. Yeah, I just find it interesting. Like I said, her people. I don't really want to play that yet, because I could do a whole live just on the people who are supporting her. I'll just say it. Her people are allowing her to get away with absolute nonsense, just because they hate Trump. There's no policy, there's no politics in it. They just don't like him. That's it. They just don't. I agree. And then when you have, when you have an underdog who has been arrested, who has been impeached, who has had several lawsuits filed against them, and clearly unfair lawsuits, and got a unfair ruling, and who they're going to probably try to lock up in September. I don't know if you saw my video on that. Don't be surprised if Trump gets put in jail in September. You heard it here first. Do not be surprised, because there's a very good chance that that's going to happen. September 18th or September 15th. There's a very good chance that Donald Trump gets put in jail in Rikers. You heard it here first. Do not be surprised. You'll now. It's not going to hurt him, but don't be surprised when you see it happen. What that's going to do is going to create even a bigger underdog, because people are going to be even more furious than the mugshot. Then we had the man get shot. Literally. He literally got shot. It's wild that he's the ultimate underdog, and they don't understand how they are contributing to it. They're trying to figure out, wait a minute, he's a convicted felon. Why are these people loving him even more? It's wild. How you doing, young lady? You want to stay cammed up? I guess it doesn't matter. You have your own channel. Okay.
It's fine.
Hello. How are you?
Hello.
Thank you for blessing my panel.
Well, thank you for allowing the opportunity to come up. This is a hot topic, and one that really needs some chiming in.
Yes.
Or could use some chiming in, but thank you for at least going over and dissecting this, because she is tripping.
Yeah, there's 2 more sections of it. They're each 10 minutes. So I didn't want to do a full 20-minute video and go over that, make that longer. So I'm splitting it up. But yeah, she's something else, huh?
Understood. Like I said, I don't even think she's good at word salad. It's just she's filibustering through the entire thing. It just sounds bad, all of it. And like you said, for whatever she's, policy she's presented, nothing is original. Nothing is original. Everything is a mimic. And one thing that I noticed that just irritated me right off the rip is, as soon as she started to speak, like several times she inserted Trump's name.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not asking about Trump. We have seen the evidence of him, whether you like him or you hate him, the economy was better. He was a lot more clear. He was a lot more direct. It goes, we know what goes with the political arena and the politicians and all of that, but still there has to be some level of not just accountability, in my opinion, but transparency, when you're talking about being a free leader or a leader of the free world, so-called free world. But yeah, so I don't know. And anything you got, you want to like touch on or?
Well, I want to answer this question real quick. Miss KJ asks, will they sentence him or actually lock him up? I think they're going to try to lock him up. The sentencing is, they could either suspend it until after the election, or they can just give the sentencing and it'll be effective immediately. He'll go straight to jail. That's what I think they're going to try to do, and I think it's going to be the biggest fail I've ever seen. So that's the answer to that. As far as Kamala, as far as her, the left has never liked her. So to watch people praise her now is really weird to me, because I've been following her since she ran the first time, and I'm like, oh, she's really bad. There's no way she's gonna make it. Next thing you know, she's VP. And even when that happened, I'm like, why would he pick a woman who dropped out and couldn't win her own state? To me, that was wild. That's when I started looking into her. I didn't share anything about her because nobody cared about her. Nobody thought that she would ever get to the position she's in now, which is running for president again. And she didn't even have to primary. They just gave her the position, which is even more wild to me. And those are the people who always talk about threats to democracy. And they literally did not follow democracy this time around.
Oh.
What's going on, G. Will?
Man, orange man bad is a big thing in this country, boy. They don't care who's running against them. They really don't. They really don't. I've had several people like, I don't care who's running against them. I'm voting for them just because I won't vote for him. And I always ask a question. I was like, what did he do? Other than the mess that would come out of his mouth. Tell me, as a president, what did he do that was detrimental to this country, put this country in a bad position? What was so bad? And none of them can give me an answer. It's almost like this when you ask a Democrat, what policies is Kamala running on that you like the most? Or what has she done these last, 3.5 years that you appreciate the most? None of them have an answer. They can't answer that question at all. So it's literally, we're voting for her. We're going to jump on her bandwagon because orange man bad. That's all it is. The media jumped on and everybody else they fall in line. It's sheep, the media is the shepherd and the sheep line up right with them, and you can't say nothing. Like you read what I put on my page not too long ago, where I said that if if the Lord came and was in their face and told them that they all were wrong and they were out of line, they would call him a liar because he didn't fit. He wasn't going along with the narrative. So I can't. I heard about the Trump before. I heard about the Trump sentencing about 2 weeks before you did your video, and I was going to talk to you about it. We just never got a chance to. I'm like, man, this is crazy. Go ahead, put him in jail. All the people who's undecided are gonna be like, man, they working real hard to make sure that this man can't win an election, and they're gonna push him into winning one. Just ridiculous. Just this whole process, this whole thing, that whole party is absolutely ridiculous, and every sheep that follows them have fallen in line with the ridiculousness of that party. Sick of it. I'm over it. I told you, you're making me mad. I'm over here yelling in the car at this video.
Well, this was nothing. My next one, I'm going back to the illegal immigration topic, which I know Miss Akimi's been all over also. Those Venezuelans, Miss Akimi, I don't know if you have you been keeping up with it over the last few days?
To a degree. Is there anything that I mean, there's so much. I don't know. I mean, it's forever evolving and just enraging, in my opinion, because it's like such a continuous slap in the face. It's like once it hits the right cheek, then they want to come and smack the left cheek.
And we'll vote for it. That's the crazy part about it. American people will vote for it.
Yep, that part.
So that apartment complex, I think you covered the apartment complex, the Aurora apartment complex. Now, I don't know if you remember, the mayor kept saying that no, it was code violations. It was code violations. Now he's finally admitting, okay, yeah, there is a gang problem there, and they did take over several apartment complexes. But his rationale is, but the landlords still are violating codes. I guess that's to save face while ignoring. Did you see? There's a Ring video. Somebody put up a camera and it caught a bunch of Venezuelans with like really automatic weapons in this country, automatic, going up to a door and entering somebody's home. That's what I'll be going over next because I have a lot on that.
And they want to take ours away from us.
Exactly. If that person in that home had their own firearms, it would have been much less likely for them to be able to just waltz in there. Or it would have been a shootout.
No, that would have been a bloodbath.
Yeah.
Because when you have a group of people that come into this country that have nothing to lose, they left the life that they know, whether it was good or bad, for a better opportunity. And I'm sure that the promises and the reassurances that had been given prior to them making that decision, they're here.
Yep.
They're here. So and look at the immunity that they're getting. Look at the passes that they're receiving. Just no type of penalties. And so many of them are undocumented that even if the police intervened, which a lot of them have been told not to do, from my information, you're not going to get an accurate description or identity to hold them accountable in the first place. So what holds them accountable?
Nothing. They have to do something here in order to be held accountable for not only for coming here illegally, but for what they did in their country. Because I think you also covered that they're emptying out their prisons in Venezuela and other South American and Central American countries, and they're just sending them here. So these people
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I have a question. So if they're receiving all of these stipends and benefits for their needs and their daily requirements for survival, why? And they're given all. I don't know if it's been implemented. Depends on the state, I'm sure, as to what assistance they've been given. There are communities of brand new homes being built from the ground up that these people that are specifically for the immigrants. Why do they feel the need to come and take over things when they're being handed everything based off of our taxpayers' funds?
Where they're coming from, Venezuela, it's anarchy, because after it wasn't Maduro, it was Chavez. After he crashed their economy, Maduro is now in charge. They're allowed to do whatever they want. They're surviving the way they know how. So they come here. Now, again, these are already criminals. These aren't the normal Venezuelans who come here. I employ some of the normal Venezuelans who come here to work and live the life that they lived before Chavez. These are the ones who were in prison already. So why wouldn't they? They're coming fully armed. They're drug abusers, drug users, drug sellers, and they're murderers. A lot of them are what Trump said they were a few years ago, and they called him a xenophobe. When he said they're not sending their best here, he was serious and he was correct. And now we're seeing that he's correct. So I would like to play something just to make you guys annoyed before we get out of here. This is actually really sad, but it's infuriating at the same time. This happened, and it's short. It's not long, but I want to hear your.
And he was in the country illegally. Deanne knows.
Why? I lost the person that I'd been with since I was 17.
Deanne Miller lost her husband Scott when a truck slammed into his car on Highway 285 near Bailey.
My husband may have died physically, and he may not be on this earth anymore, but I died with him.
The driver of the semi-truck was Ignacio Cruz Mendoza. He didn't have a valid commercial driver's license, and he was in the country illegally. Deanne knows he should never have been on the road driving next to her husband.
I mean, he should not have been behind the wheel of that truck, and he knew that too.
Yet Cruz Mendoza was only charged with misdemeanor traffic violations, 1 count of careless driving resulting in death, and 3 counts of careless driving resulting in injury. He pleaded guilty to those in July and will be sentenced on Friday. He faces 1 year in jail and some fines.
Who else is going to get these rogue truck drivers and these road trucking companies off the roads if not the people we put in charge to make us safe.
After the DA's office in Jefferson County charged the driver with a misdemeanor, he surprised them and pleaded guilty in his arraignment. That prevented prosecutors from filing more charges as they got more evidence from crash investigators.
At the time they filed the charges, all they had was probable cause on a misdemeanor charge of careless driving resulting in death.
9 News legal analyst Scott Robinson says after the guilty plea, double jeopardy prevents any more charges from being added.
There's no question but that the decision to file just the misdemeanor charges is coming back to haunt the prosecutors, at least to a certain degree.
Hold these people accountable for their actions.
After losing her husband less than 3 months ago, Deanne will walk into a courtroom on Friday to tell a judge why the man who crashed into her husband deserves the maximum sentence. A sentence she feels is far too short.
1 year is the maximum sentence for this guy. Now you tell me he was not advised to do what he did to get out of the double jeopardy clause. 1 year for killing somebody and destroying a family. And he's not even legal. The guy's not even legal. He shouldn't even be here. 1 year is what the maximum sentence is going to be. And she has to appeal for that. She's got to beg the judge, please give him a year for taking my husband. This kind of stuff is going to become more and more and more regular. And it's wild. What's going on, DJ Memphis? I think he came here just to troll me. We'll see. But yeah, 1 year is the maximum sentence for an illegal who literally unalived a man and took him from his family. So I thought I'd share that with you guys because I know G Will's gonna be furious, and I know you're gonna be like, you got to be kidding me. So that's one of those ones that I have in the middle that I don't know where to put it. So I was like, okay, I can play it right now while they're up here and see their reactions to it. You don't look.
There is no good place to put that.
Yeah.
That's infuriating, but that is just one incident out of so many different scenarios. You know, you look at the court system already being bogged down with citizens, much less dealing with people that you have to actually spend resources and do some research and to find out who this person is and, you know, what would be a fair. How about hold that person to the same standard since they're benefiting from our tax dollars and they get even more consideration than the citizens or the veterans seem to be receiving their just due. Why not just have the law apply for everybody since you're on this soil equally?
Yep. And what I was going to say earlier when you had asked, when you were talking about the perks that they're getting, they're not even getting the same charges we get, and which is wild because he didn't have a valid commercial license. So how is he in the truck? And he's not legal. So how is he here in a truck? He's on the road driving next to us. I don't drive next to trucks anyway. I speed past them or I just stay behind them until they get out of the way. But you don't know who's in that truck. And now we have these people on the road with freight, tens of thousands of pounds of freight. And he's not certified in any way. He doesn't have a CDL. He's just here.
So who's hiring these people?
That should be the next question. That should be the first person they go to when this kind of stuff happens.
Somebody
Who is this guy?
getting
Why is he
paid like
driving
that officer. Somebody getting paid like that officer in Texas. That's who's hiring.
Yeah, the
Somebody
sheriff.
getting the payment.
Sheriff Salazar. Yep. He watched 53 people die, and then he comes talking about Kamala's doing a great job on the border. And I played him begging her to come to the border. I don't know if you were in here yet, Miss Akivi. It's a game that they're playing that's not a game, and it shouldn't be a game. But it's what they're doing. It's what we're doing.
You can't make this up. If people would just do their research and look up stuff, they would see it, but they just choose to believe. They have the lazy man mentality. Oh, well, I saw it on TV, so it's got to be true. And I'm going to jump on that bandwagon and just listen to what they tell me. Stay in line. Sheep.
Yeah, I think. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that the level of desperation is putting that these people have. And I don't know what the logistics are for everybody. I'm sure, depending on what sanctuary city or where you're coming, what port of entry you're coming into, how you're getting here, all of those are variables. But overall, this government and this administration is absolutely supporting, giving them a leg up, and positioning them for something or some things. And it's you can't, like one of the things that infuriated me also about this interview is nobody touched on any of this when it comes to the immigration. And when they asked her about her being Black, she said, next question.
Yeah, so she did the same thing. So she neither confirmed nor denied, which tells me that she has an issue with the claim itself, but she's allowing everyone else to make the claim for her. It's really interesting because so you saw that they did bring it up for a second, and I think that's toward the end of the interview, and that's going to be I think my part 3. But yeah, she didn't. Next question. She said next question because Trump brought it up, and that was her
playbook. Same old playbook. Next question.
And Dana, she should not have let her do that. She said, "Well, I mean, this is a pretty big deal right now, especially in the Black community. What are your thoughts on it?" But she phrased it and used the word Trump to allow her to say, "I don't want to talk about him. It ain't about him. It's about what the question is." And she didn't want to touch that, so she gave her an out.
Exactly. That's what happened, because now the ambiguity, you can't, just like when she said, are we going to do anything specifically for Blacks? No. So that's being, of course, that's gone viral over the years since she's been MIA while she's been in office. But now she's realized, okay, well, they're going to hold my feet to the fire and words matter. So now I'll just evade. And now the people that are into the identity politics that just want to vote because, there's some similarities in skin complexion or whatever, or they want to be a part of making history with the first Black, quote unquote, and I use that term loosely, woman president. It's like, you just you're letting all of that ride. So you're not, like you said, you're not denying or you're not claiming either, or you're just leaving it up to the person to still make their decision without being held accountable or having to answer the question again, proposing that you are running to be a leader of the free world in the most quote unquote powerful country in the world. We are letting this slide, and I just don't know how we got here.
It's wild. But Black women, I love you guys. You guys are starting to come around. I'm seeing way more than I thought I was going to see. I'm getting
Mike
excited.
is killing me right now.
What's that?
Mike is killing me right now.
Yeah, Mike's hilarious. But yeah, I'm excited now that I'm seeing more and more and more, because I keep telling people my timelines are wild. But I think I see more than the average person when it comes to political stuff, because that's my algorithm. And I'm seeing a lot more Black women in particular finally starting to say stuff. And I'm like, oh, this is good. I was not. And no disrespect. I just wasn't. I had no expectations. Just because I've seen, especially when it comes to AKs, I'm like, oh my gosh, they don't care. It's what it's going to be. So it's very cool to see.
Well, I just wanted to pop in and kind of give my little contribution. I definitely don't want to take over the panel. Great topic, great presentation. You hit a lot of vital points. I'm loving the growth of your channel, and you being willing and able to share, your expertise and your viewpoints on everything with us in such a very important political season and election term that we are facing. People, do your own research. Don't just go off of the fluff. And how many election cycles do we have to go through this? They're using the same playbook and they're yielding the same results. What does that say about us as a people? Just do your own homework.
Please. And I appreciate you for coming up here and blessing the panel. I don't know if you know this, but I share your link every single live.
You do?
Absolutely.
I got to do better at my mentions and my community.
You don't care about me. No, but the reason that I do it is because I think our opinions need to be more mainstream, and they're just not. We don't have to agree on everything, but I think more to what G. Will was saying, more people need to hear it. To what you were saying also. people need to research. People need to pay more attention, because what's happening is their algorithms aren't like mine or Karen the Black or G Wills or even yours. They're getting nothing but positivity, joy, all that emotional talk about Kamala Harris. They're not seeing the real her. So I share everyone who I like and who thinks who thinks just differently. You don't have to agree, like I said, but if you think differently, it's just to get more opinions out there so people can see them. And that's my purpose. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. So if you notice that, that's why. If you see your name gets mentioned in my description, that's why it's happening. So
Look at that, bro.
I appreciate the support, and I will be more mindful of reciprocating because I love your content. And I'm so glad now I'm starting to receive more of your notifications, because before I had to type in, then I unsubscribe, resubscribe. And then, yeah, you started to come through. So definitely, can I just say one more thing before I go? Of course. And then I'll yield. And I'm going to speak to the audience, but I want to, as a woman, I just want to say we were created, and this is just my personal opinion. This is not a representation of the platform. I'm not speaking
you don't have to
for anybody else. I'm just saying, because sometimes, no,
you don't have to worry about that.
But as a woman, we were created emotional beings, because we are the life givers, we are the nurturers, and we are created specifically for that. And so I don't personally, and it's particularly this one, but no woman, I feel, at a time like this or any other time in our history should be running the country. And we are just, it's not, that's just my personal opinion. I won't go far and deep into it. All I'm saying is, don't do it because you feel like history is being made, or you have similarities, or you're her sisterhood because you're AKA, or you've attended the same HBCU. She is not a representation of us collectively. And just do your due diligence, and do not vote from an emotional place if that is possible, because that's where we're getting mixed up and messed up. Because we don't like, or certain people don't like Trump, doesn't matter who we place in front of him, we're going to vote for that person. I've had people tell me that to my face. They've said, I don't care, I don't like Trump, and we just don't want to see him in office. So with that,
wow.
Yeah, I'll yield. But thanks again for having me up. Salute
Thanks
to
for
the
coming
chat.
up. This is the first time you've been up here. I appreciate
it. Ms. Akimi, you're the best.
Yes, G. Will. I was gonna say thank you for coming up and contributing to the topic, because it's all of our voices are important, and this is the time. This is the time to definitely vocalize, where your stance is, why it is where it is, and make it make sense, because we're living in such a skewed time in history where very little is logical and makes sense, and we need that perspective to be more mainstream and to be more normal than it has been. So
I was going to tell you, I was coming in hot. And right when I requested to come in, you came in. I was like, oh man, I gotta calm down. You don't know me like that. I was coming in hot. I was like, I'm gonna calm down.
Oh, well, no, I want you to be your authentic self, because you know what? Like I have to really, I'm with you, because when I'm doing lives, I have to get myself in check during my live several times, especially when I'm covering some BS. And I know it's BS, and now I'm in my feels, and so I have to really be mindful, because some people just don't respond well to that. But when you're passionate about, we're not just talking about us, we're talking about our children, our grandchildren, we're talking about, I don't know what your age is or what your generation is, you will, but a lot of us that are speaking up on this in this particular sector, we probably got a little more life behind us than ahead of us, and so we have to speak up. And I'm finding that a lot of the older,
you see all this gray in this beard?
Yes, I love how we are embracing our gray. My parents dyed their gray, and I was like, "Why are you doing that?" On men, I think that is just so distinguished and sexy. But that's just my take on it. But I'm just saying, it's like we can't just think of ourselves and get so stuck because times are different. Even the language is different. Things come back and they circle back around, but then we name it something else. And so everything is evolving. We got AI, we got technology. It is just, it's a time where the older generation has to be more open and more critical in the thinking. And just because it's something we've always done doesn't mean that it's something we need to continue to do. How has it been working for us? How has supporting the Democratic Party been working for us? And I'm gonna tell you something else. Trump showed improved. You don't have to like his delivery, but he showed improved during a very difficult time in our history where there was a lot of odds against him. But I think that was the issue for a lot of the powers that be. Because
absolutely
there's
the
a
issue
trajectory that they're trying to go in, and he did not fit that bill.
and
But
he didn't allow it, and he openly went against it and rallied against it.
and they don't like that.
No, they don't.
Especially
They
from
do.
people that look like them. So I digress. All right, y'all. I'm really gonna get up out of here this time. I appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
Great
Appreciate
show, great live, great informational speech. G Will. Keep it going. I
Been a
appreciate
pleasure.
y'all. Peace.
Thank you. And then Free J had a question. Why is Trump allowed to run if he's a convicted felon and was impeached, I think, twice? Never found an answer to that. He was not impeached. He was unsuccessfully impeached. So both chambers of the House, so the Senate and the House, have to impeach him in order for it to be an actual impeachment. So he had articles brought against him, but when it got to the Senate, it got shut down. But it doesn't really matter whether he was impeached or not. He would have had to been impeached for treason, which is why they didn't. Which is why they tried to get him for insurrection on the impeachment. That's why they had that whole sham of a trial. So the only thing that can stop him from running would be if he was convicted on treason. But convicted felon has absolutely nothing to do with your ability to run for president. You can run the country from prison as long as the people elect you in. That is not a thing that can stop you from running. That's something that the Democrats want you to think can stop him from running, but it is not. So treason is the only thing I want to say. Yeah, I think that's the only thing that you can be charged with. You can be a murderer. As a matter of fact, we've had presidents who had outright duels and killed somebody. So the only thing you cannot do is be a traitor to your nation. That's it. And if he gets sentenced and put in jail in September, mid-September, he can run this country from a prison cell, and he'll have Secret Service agents in there with him. It's wild, huh? Wisdom hairs. Oh, jeez. But anyway, I appreciate everybody for stopping by today. I'm gonna start dropping these links. G Will, thank you for coming up, and thank you for always being here and always in the chat interacting and all that good stuff. I appreciate you, sir. Amber C, thank you very much. Uncle L, as always, thanks for stopping by. Vibes in my lane, welcome back, welcome back. Valiant Thor, thank you, welcome. I think this was your first time here. Phoenix Rising, as always, thank you, ma'am. Appreciate you, appreciate you, appreciate you. Juicy Fruit, it was great to see you over here. That's super cool seeing you over here. Mel Dub was in here. Appreciate you, sir. See if he says anything to get timed out. Hopefully he does it. Rare Money stopped by. Thank you, sir, for always coming in, always supporting. Let me make sure I don't ignore anybody on the Cash App. Nope, not ignoring anybody. Cool. Miss Akimi, bless the panel for the first time. That was very cool. Very, very, very cool. One of my favorite content creators. I said Uncle L. That's me. Karchamata Jaga was in here, as always. Thank you, ma'am, for coming in. Free J, thanks for coming back. Miss KJ, appreciate you. John Thompson, I did see you. I put it up and saluted you in case you didn't see. I just didn't want to interrupt. I think it was Miss Akimi was talking or one of the videos was on. So I appreciate you coming in here. DJ Memphis, appreciate you, sir. Thank you for always stopping in. Taryn the Black, appreciate you, sir, for always stopping in. Get me your channel link with the name, and I'll add you to my list, Taryn. Mike Levin, thank you for coming in, as always. Appreciate you, sir. I think I already said G Will. All right, that's everybody. Now I'm going to drop my little links of everyone who I support and everyone who I frequent on my channel. Actually, let me do it this way. Miss Real Talk Nikki. Awesome content creator. She does some of the best editing that you'll see when it comes to political stuff. Hilarious stuff. Mel, always in here. My brother Mel, big supporter. Love his channel. Great content, similar to mine. Biz 101 in finance. My brother, thank you so much for everything that you do for this community. Whether people understand what you're doing or not, you are important. The most important man, in my opinion, on YouTube. Kwame Brown Bust Life. I think everyone knows him. He doesn't need my endorsement, but I give it anyway. Miss Akimi, one of the most positive content creators, even when she's chastising. Miss Akimi, thank you very much for coming up. Appreciate you, ma'am. See you later, Phoenix Rising. I appreciate you so much. Damn D, POV, the best YouTuber, in my opinion. Reaction videos. Oh, that's not it. I messed that up. Sorry. I missed the H. Okay, start this again. Damn D, POV, the best YouTuber in the game, in my opinion. Miss Selena, who G Will and I will be frequenting now. We're going to probably be doing a panel with her once a month, all men's panel. Miss Selena, great content creator. Let's see. No, thank you for stopping up. Appreciate you. Vince, another brother of mine and friend of mine. Let's see. And Jay. I'm gonna get him up here. One of these days, I'm gonna get Jay up here and have his actual content going. Jay. If you would like to bless the channel, I could always use a fresh wind, as you see on the banner. This is the link. A fresh wind. Need a fresh wind. I would appreciate that. That would be awesome. It all goes back straight back into the channel. I almost have enough to do something that I'm planning on doing. You guys will know what it is as soon as I get it. So we're working on that. Free J, thanks for stopping up by. All those links will also be in the description if you didn't catch it. Yeah, Jay Powers is going to be amazing, man. Dude, he's so hard to just get to commit to doing it. And I told him, as soon as you start doing it, dude, you got followers. I'm telling you, you're going to have followers. But I appreciate you all. If you are new here, like, subscribe, share, comment. After this live goes off, comment. Tell me what you think. I'm doing videos now, or again, because I still have so much content that I can't fit it into live streams. This one went over 2 hours. I didn't even know I went over 2 hours just now. Holy crap. And I only covered 2 things. So thank you guys so much. Again, I appreciate everyone. What music am I going out with? We're going out with Quasimodo. This is a Mad Lib track. The first one was also Mad Lib. That was Man in Charge. I think I got everything. I think I covered everything. Let me double check, make sure I didn't ignore anybody in CashApp. I did not. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you all. I'm out.